The impact of social media on relationship. You guys, this is a big topic. Really appreciate Mrs. Courtney enlightening us and bestowing her insights on the impacts, negative and or positive, because it does you can't deny that it has its positive impacts on relationships and how it affects the health, the longevity, and the lifespan of modern relationships.
Sure, that's a very huge topic. Before, we didn't have access to the amount of information that we have access to now. And it's really important for people to recognize both as part of their own personal growth and observations as to what works and what doesn't work for me. But specifically how it applies to relationships. Sometimes you can get very unrealistic ideas about what relationships are supposed to be like or feel like, or how often a person's supposed to post you. There is no external measure that is right or wrong. It is really how these tools are used to both help, or if they have a positive impact on the relationship, great. If it's negative, then we need to monitor how we use this tool. So social media, first of all, kind of, and this is my own little soapbox about social media, is that it is educated by what you pay attention to, right? So we've all heard about the algorithm of social media. And so if you're watching and paying attention to things that are more idle or fun, or cat videos show up on mine a lot because I use it for relaxation.
Oh my gosh, I love cat videos.
But there's also other areas that keep popping up when you're clearly interested in advancing your learning about a particular topic. But even that, like, social media is, again, a tool to be used. So there are lots of reputable relationship advice type people on social media now that are sharing little nuggets or tidbits of information. Right. And so to educate yourself constantly and to be exposed to new information that might help you to be better, especially in your relationship, then it's a useful tool. But if you're using it for the sake of comparison, if you're using it to judge or be extremely critical, both of others or yourself, then that might not have such a positive impact.
There's a difference between privacy and secrecy. Now, as long as you know that you're not a secret, you're private, shouldn't that be enough for you?
That's a real judgment statement there, Gigi. We, again, remember too that social media has also been very villainized, you know, and that it's wrong, it's fake, it's this, it's that. And I really just think that it has a lot more to do with the user, right? And how the user is using this particular tool. In some ways, social media can become almost like a third wheel in the relationship, this other thing that we have to sort of satisfy or pay attention to that distracts us from the actual quality of our particular relationship status, feelings of being satisfied, having our needs met, etc. If you kind of add it in as something that you also need to meet or an obligation to post, then yeah, it can sometimes take away from the quality. But at the same time, if a person likes being posted, they have that, but there's also quality in the relationship, it's not necessarily wrong. But it has more to do with the intent. If the intent is to put on a good show, no matter what the actual truth is, that is kind of, we would say, not necessarily the truest of places to come from. And so it's a little fake, it's a little curated, etc.
Misleading.
But if you're, for instance, a public figure, then there's parts of your life that are not as private. And so you have to kind of choose how you decide to share that information or what you show. You don't have to show the true picture of everything, but you have to do it with a particular intent. And the intent is to give a snapshot. The intent is to start a conversation. The intent is to just, you know, do a public display of this is my person.
Yeah.
And some people need those public displays, not necessarily all the time or in an unhealthy way.
It's Valentine's Day, guys. Like, come on. We're still in the month of love. You still
there's other couples that don't need it. The tricky part is making sure that you kind of meet in a place where you both agree. Everybody likes to think they're not addicted to social media, but think about how long you can actually go without picking up your phone. Especially when it comes to those intentional spaces like date nights, or when your partner's sharing something very important with you, like that you're not checking the scores while they're talking. or watching TikTok when they say, "Hey babe, can I ask you a question?" And you're like, "Sure, go ahead." And it's like, dude, can you look at me? Like, can you put that down and just like pay attention to I'm listening. I'm like, okay. If you did that to your boss, you'd probably be fired.
Right? Put down your phone. Because guess what? They're hungry and they want to eat for their food. So by the time you take all of their pictures and their boomerangs and all of their social media posts, for his food don't get cold, for she margarita, the ice don't melt. Just move along. Focus.
Yeah. Social media also provides, when you think about it, this sort of cloak, right? I can say things to someone that I might normally not say to them in person because I'm not in your face. You can't immediately reject me. Exactly. That's a really good way to kind of put it. We have this sense of confidence, and we're almost emboldened.
Elevated confidence.
Elevated confidence. That's a good word.
But like, how easy is it to just message someone and you might not think anything of it, and I feel like it can create problems because you're having good conversations with this person all day.
That is not.
And then you create this fantasy in your head, like, oh, we have like this good dynamic.
It doesn't even have to get that far.
No, and then
if I am interacting with someone outside of my relationship all day on a daily basis, that is divided attention, and that is generally not a signal of being healthy in your relationship. I need to not allow myself to be comfortable talking with any and everybody about intimate things.
Right.
And that's where we get kind of that idea of emotionally cheating, is that we share things with people outside of our relationship that really need to be shared in the relationship, but we don't know how, or we're scared. So we test it out somewhere where it doesn't really matter, right? But then it does.
It's so easy to emotionally cheat on your partner. Is that a nice word? Emotionally cheat?
No. That's a whole nother
cheaters. Nobody cheat. I did judge no no cheat.
But
Cochinos. So social media in and of itself is not a bad thing. I mean, you guys wouldn't be able to like watch us without social media, but it's the way you utilize that tool to do good or to do bad for you, and of course for your relationships. So I think that's something that's like a food for thought for today, and just think about, how am I using social media? How am I spending my day on this app, and how is it enriching my life, or how is it downplaying all of my efforts for personal growth and effective communication? Think about all of that and evaluate yourself so that you can be a better version of you for you and your partner. Mrs. Courtney, can you touch on some of the myths and misconceptions that people may have towards couples therapy, or therapy on a whole, but more so like couples therapy?
Sure. A lot of people I hear when they come in, they're like, one person has been pushing for it. We need to talk to somebody. We need to get some help. And it's like, I don't want to talk about my personal life to a total stranger. Like, what is a stranger going to know about me? How can they tell me anything that's going to be helpful? And so a lot of people feel like sometimes too that sharing their life with a perfect stranger is very scary. And so people aren't as willing to kind of put themselves out there like that. It takes a lot of courage to actually reach out for help. The other thing is that the therapist is supposed to fix it.
That's one of the misconceptions.
That if we come to therapy, the therapy is going to fix it and we're going to be fine. And often when I'm working with a couple, one of the first things in the first session that I will share is that I don't have a particular investment in whether or not you stay together or whether or not you decide to part ways. My investment is in making sure that individually you both are very, very clear with yourselves on the decision you make to work at this, to put work in, to stay together, or even sometimes if the best decision for you is to part ways, that you can make that decision and part ways amicably as much as possible. It takes two people to decide to stay in a relationship. It only takes one person to decide to leave.
The key word there is decision.
Decisions that you make. Absolutely. And sometimes people know that they're in an unhealthy situation, but they don't know how to get out. And so they keep trying all the things that they know, but it's not necessarily informed. And so therapy helps people to figure out, do I have the information that I need? What skills do I need? Let me get those skills. Let me put in all this effort to see if this is going to if I'm okay moving forward, or if this is no longer working for me. The main point is that, and I really want people to understand this, relationships, at least the ones that are important to you, which generally are intimate relationships, are kind of at the top, are super important, but they are also work. They don't just happen because we love each other enough. We love each other enough to constantly work on being better people. We love each other enough to constantly work at and nurture the relationship, the various needs in the relationship, compromising where we can, and being very, very clear on where it is we want to go, and making sure that all of our interactions with each other are contributing to that and not necessarily hindering that. It should be work that you enjoy doing, because when I care for something, when I nurture it, it grows. You see people over COVID who decided to plant herbs, and they're so excited when their little thing grows, or their little seed actually shows the labor that has gone into it. Relationships sometimes can take a little while for that growth to be seen or to be visible, but it is something that both people really need to pay attention to sort of on a constant basis. And the more you do something, the more automatic it becomes. So while it may feel really challenging in the beginning to start to find out how to put in this work in communication, and how we use social media, and how we care for each other and are careful with our communication with each other, the better you get at it.
With that said, we've come to the end of this special episode in the month of love. Relationships, a work in progress. And as we delved headfirst, I would say, into the realm of the art of understanding, nurturing, and effective communication in relationships, and of course with ourselves. And I'd like to thank you so much, Mrs. Courtney, for being here with us today on this beautiful white couch.
Thank you so much for having me. I think it's very bold and brave of you guys to offer this type of exchange. So often people have to get this in specific therapy sessions. And so the more information we can provide, the easier it is for people to figure out where they fall and what areas they might need to work on. So I really applaud you all for offering this particular opportunity, and thank you for having me.
If anyone would like to reach out to you, how can they do that?
I work with Monarch Counseling and Consulting, which is a group mental health therapy practice, and so you can reach out to our office at 670-6080 via WhatsApp, or we also have social media, both as a tool, Facebook and Instagram. Our website is monarchbelize.com. And you can find us there. You can see the list of therapists that we have available, depending on what your particular need is. And you can reach us through the website as well. So lots of avenues to get that help and to reach out.
There you go. So use your social media in a positive manner, and you can reach out to Monarch Consulting for your therapy needs. Don't forget to follow Ignite Belize on social media as well, so you can see more content like this on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, may your hearts be filled with love for yourself and for others. And one quote that I like is, you love yourself enough so that you can love other people as you would love yourself. I'll leave you with that on this beautiful, beautiful day. And I love you, beautiful people, because it's the month of love. Catch you next time.